All right, so the project at hand is to refurbish this bed slide. This goes in the back of an 8-foot pickup truck bed, and this top surface has a latch at the back, rolls out. So you can roll it out, load it, roll it back into the truck. I've had this bed slide in my GMC Sierra 2500 heavy duty for 20 years. So this truck has always had this plastic liner in it, and the bed slide's been in here for 20 years. I think it may have come out, I don't know, at some point 10 or 15 years ago, it did come out to clean this liner, but it's been in here for at least 10 years right now. So you can see some debris was underneath it. It fastens in the bed. There's 2 pins. There's a hole there and a hole over here that the front of the slide go into, and then there's one hole right here that the vertical pin goes into. Those 2 pins are horizontal. They go forward through the front wall. This pin goes down through the floor. So I'm going to clean this out, but I'm working on refurbishing this bed slide. So here you can see the 2 pins that go through the front wall. Of course, this angle iron, pretty rusted. So I purchased this when I purchased the truck. It's a 2001 GMC 2500 heavy duty 8-foot bed. So I picked it up with my forklift. I lifted it, got the forks underneath the back end of it, and put a strap around it, and then was able to pick it up and lift it out of the back of the truck. It was drooping a little bit in the front here, but it certainly was a relatively simple chore to remove it from the truck. So I don't know what it weighs. We might, if we can get a chance to weigh it, we'll do that. Here's the latch, so you can turn it, pull the top out, and it'll extend outside the truck by 6 or 7 feet. So they sell these at truck accessory dealers, and I bought a new truck. I just bought a Silverado 2500 heavy duty, a super cab, double cab, whatever they call it, 4-door, but not the full crew cab, 8-foot bed. And my plan is to refurbish this and put it in my new truck. So it'll look new by the time I'm done with it. So stick around. If you've never seen a bed slide on a truck, if you have, my truck has a cap on it, and to get stuff out of the truck, you're climbing in on your knees. If you're a young guy or girl, that may not be a big deal, but the older you get, the more you would appreciate something like this. I get a lot of comments from it at lumber yards when I pull it out and they lay a sheet of plywood on it and I roll it back in the back of the truck. You don't see too many of these around, but I'll tell you, it is a wonderful convenience for inside a pickup truck if you have a cap on your pickup truck, as I do, as you can see. So I have a cap on mine. Okay. Got some work to do. We're going to deal with all this rust, probably new bearings on the rollers, that sort of thing. See what we got to do. All right. Wow. Split that socket. Look at that. That's an old school Craftsman socket. Of course, you're not supposed to use regular sockets in impact application. I think this angle iron is just bolted on. Of course, it's spinning. It's got carriage bolts. And of course, they're just spinning in the wood. It's got a plywood, it's carpet covered plywood. Most of them are just spinning, they're so rusted. Spinning. And that one came undone. Oh, I see. Well, those are staples. Old rusty screws. Oh, okay, so there's another whole series of bolts. Coming off a little more easily. That one's missing. All right, so I think that's most of the bolts through the plywood bed. All right, so that's 48 with the carpet. By 90, just under 94. All right, decided to go ahead and cut this up. It's saturated, it's pretty wet, and it's very heavy. I can't handle it by myself, so I'm not gonna reuse it. It's got some rotten spots in it, down here especially. And I've got new carpet, so I'm going to make a whole new cover, a whole new platform. So let's see. The top of this frame doesn't look so bad. There you can see how it slides. Latches, it has two positions. It latches all the way in and it latches like halfway out. This is called a bed slide. This is the brand, and bed slide makes, they still make them. I don't think they're like this. One of the main reasons I decided to refurbish this one rather than buy a new one, besides the fact that the new ones are like $3,000. And if I sell this other truck, my old truck, since I bought a new one, if I sell my old truck, I'm not going to get any more money for it with a bed slide in it. I mean, I'm not going to pay me any more because there's a shell on it. Most people, I suspect, buying a truck that old, it's only got 180,000 miles on it, but they're going to take the shell off and use it as a work truck, probably. So having a bed slide in it is, they're going to pull it out and throw it away. So rather than spend the $3,000 to buy a new one, which I discovered are not as good as this one. The main difference, the way they rate them is the weight they will carry, their weight they're rated for, and how far out they will extend. So a full extension slide that'll carry 1,500 pounds, it's rated 1,500 pounds, only comes like 70% out, whereas this comes like 85% out. So this actually extends more, and this one's rated at 1,200 pounds, full extension. So it comes out further and holds as much as the new ones. So that's got me making the decision to clean this. I mean, it's not worn out. It's just gotten a little rusty. I could actually put a new carpet on it. Could have peeled that carpet off, put new carpet on it, put it back in the new truck, and been done with it. But I figured I've had that other truck for 20 years. I'll probably have this one the rest of my life. So I'm going to clean up the rust on it, repaint it, and reinstall it. It's surprising, most of this is in, I mean, there's just a couple spots where it's rusted significantly. This is pitted. You know, maybe, I don't know, 10% of the metal gone. I mean, it's still solid. Most of it, it's not nearly as rusted as I expected. All right, so that's one of the latched positions. Yeah, I have to say, there's really very little rust. So that's part way extended, and it goes another 3 feet probably to full extension. There's 4 bearings. There's 2 bearings, one here, and then mounted to the moving section, and 2 more mounted to the stationary section down here. And they seem to be in reasonable shape. Still moving fine. All right, so let's see what this bearing is. Big carriage bolt as a buffer. I mean, that's a sealed bearing. It actually feels fine. All right, I'm going to go ahead and order 4 new bearings. I mean, these are sealed, have rubber seals on both sides. I mean, they feel perfectly smooth, but we'll see about replacing them. Looks like a 3/4 inch bore, 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches. So I'm going to say this is a pretty common bearing, probably. I mean, all these bearings are going to be standard bearings. So 6203 RS, it's a CGB. So we'll look that up and see what that means. 6203. I'm going to say rubber seal, 6203 rubber seal. All right, I'm going to order 4 new bearings. The risk is they won't be as good as these. I have to make sure I get, you know, Fafner or, you know, a name brand bearing, not some cheap import bearings. So, I mean, considering these are from 2001, so they're 23 years old. Do they even make bearings like this anymore? All right, so even though this one feels fine, I'm going to say the other ones are probably in similar shape. I'm going to go ahead and replace them. All right, that allows me to separate the top from the bottom so I can replace these bearings. All right, so I've got 4 bearings to replace. I'll go ahead and do that. Let me get the, this is all in good shape. There's no rust on here. I'm going to hit it with a wire brush so we can put a coat of paint on it. All right, so I'm wiping it down with an acetone soaked rag. Get any dust off of it. So that's definitely a rusted. Good and rusty bit. All right, so these are the new ball bearings from McMaster Car. They are actually 17 millimeter bore, 40 millimeter outside diameter. Let's see. That actually feels not bad. Not too crunchy, a little stiff, but not too crunchy. So these bearings, just in case you're wondering, they're marked KBC, based on what McMaster had on their website. They are either Japanese or Chinese manufactured. They were $18 a piece. That bearing doesn't feel too bad either. I mean, it's not crunchy, it's a little stiff. But considering it's their age, not bad. All right, we'll put the other two bearings on when we reassemble it. All right, let me get this is the sliding platform. And this is the stationary platform. I'm just going to set it on top for the sake of working on it. This is the one piece that got the most corrosion because water tended to, the way I parked my truck had the bed tilted forward, so this was in the front of the bed, and so it was a low spot. So if there was any water inside the bed, this sat in water occasionally. So you hear my dogs barking there in the background. Got a contractor working on the dock. They're going crazy. So yeah, these are the bottom surfaces that sit on the bed. All right, catches properly there. All right, I think we're back in business here. One of the issues I had was this board taking up, you know, 1.25 inches of space. So I'm thinking about replacing it with a piece of flat stock, thinner. Just like that. All right, I believe that's all of the bolts through the platform to the frame. The rest of the bolts are for the side angles. I took the side angles outside, wire brushed them, painted them. They're outside drying. Did that off camera. All right, so those screws will hold this piece of flat stock on. And I'm just clamping these side angle angles on. All right, same drill over here. All right, so I just vacuumed it up a little bit. It looks nice. Of course, you know, the stuff you see here is all from the vacuum nozzle. There's no wrinkles or anything in it. Pulled pretty tight. So it looks good. All right, I need to center it in the bed. And drill some holes. There we go. I think that's got it in the holes. All right, let's center it here at the back. I think we're centered on that spot. 7 inches to there. That's like 7 1/4, and that's like 7. That's 5. All right, it's like 1/8 of an inch. 5 1/8. 5 1/8. All right, so that's the center spot. All right, so we go ahead and drill this last hole. So it latches there and there. So there you go. Voila. So this now is a couple inches longer than it used to be in my old truck. The bed of this truck is 1 inch or 2 longer, I think, 1 inch longer than my old truck. There's room to fit a whole sheet of plywood. It'll fit between the side rails and from here to the front, and it'll still close the tailgate. Used to have to put the plywood on top of the wood front rail, and even then I had trouble closing the tailgate. So this is actually going to be a little bit bigger than my old one, than it was before. So I'll tell you, if you have a truck with a cap on it and you haul stuff around, and you don't have a bed slide, you're wearing yourself out. All right, folks, that's going to wrap up this episode of Frank's Follies. I figure I saved almost $3,000. A replacement bed slide would have cost $3,000 roughly. I spent $120 on the carpet, $50, $60 on a sheet of plywood, some hardware, some paint, so like $200 or less. So I think that was a good decision. It works great. Oh, the bearings, $60 for the bearings, so $2 1/4, something like that. But it's basically new again, and if you have a truck with a cap on it and are climbing up inside it, you might consider something like this. They aren't cheap, but I'll tell you, if you're my age, it saves your knees, and you do get a lot of comments at the lumber yard or wherever you go and pull it out and load it up. People say, oh, wow. Not that that's a reason to get one, but they apparently are not as common as you would think, or I would think. So anyway, done with that. On to my next project, which is right above me, my garage door. It just broke. The motor's stalling. I unhooked it and working it manually now, but the motor is like locked up. It just hit the button and it buzzes for a second, quits. So I don't know what's wrong with it. I got shutters to put up on the house, replacement shutters. I got change of oil in one of my cars. A list of stuff to do. And it's been busy the past couple of weeks because we've been doing planting the gardens. And so I've got my tomato plants in, broccoli. Broccoli's been in a month almost. Cauliflower and peppers. Just put the peppers in. So got a little jump on it this year, a little bit earlier than we normally do, but the weather's turned nice, so I took advantage of that. And so busy. Leave a comment. Tell me if you have a bed slide, and if you don't, why you don't have one. And oh, one other thing. I think I'm getting ready to cross 25,000 subscribers on the channel. It's been growing slowly and steadily, a couple hundred a month, so it's taken a while to get there, but that's kind of a milestone, so that's great. And if you aren't subscribed, consider doing that. It helps the channel, doesn't cost you anything, and we'll see you guys on the next one.